Have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt like something wasn't right, even though nothing seemed out of the ordinary? Everyone's laughing, food's out, everything looks normal. But inside, your gut tightens, like an alarm going off that no one else seems to hear. That's discernment. It sounds enlightening until you live with it on a random Tuesday. Spiritual sight works like built-in radar. God allows some to catch cracks under the surface that others would never notice. It might show up as a sudden punch in the gut during a totally normal conversation, or a weird heaviness around a decision that looks great on paper. Scripture backs up the idea that everyone processes spiritual things the same way. 1 Corinthians 2:14 talks about how things get discerned spiritually. In plain English, some people literally cannot see what you're seeing, even if you explain it perfectly. So you're alert while everyone else seems relaxed. That gap can feel like distance, even when you're standing in a crowd. Discernment can seem like overreacting to people who live off surface-level signals or don't catch the signs God may be revealing to them. You notice patterns before they fully form, a shift in someone's posture, a joke that's cruel and hurtful, a sudden temptation that always shows up right after a breakthrough. Your spirit connects the dots quickly, while others may need a spreadsheet. Matthew 13:16 reveals a Jesus who talks about blessed eyes that see and ears that hear. That blessing can also paint a target on your back socially. Some people may label you intense. Others will assume you're judging them. Meanwhile, you're simply thinking, I'm trying to stay sober-minded, not weird. Discernment makes you a problem for the enemy. If you can spot manipulation early, you become harder to steer. If you can sense a spiritual atmosphere shifting, you become harder to trap. That's why pressure can come out of nowhere. Random discouragement, a wave of heaviness that doesn't match your life, sudden anxiety that feels dropped on your shoulders. 1 Peter 5:8 gives the classic warning about staying alert because the devil looks for someone to devour. Notice the theme: alertness, watchfulness, a life with your eyes open. Discernment carries an assignment. God doesn't show you things for trivia night. He shows you things because he trusts you with a response. James 4:17 hits hard here. When you know the right thing to do but refuse to act, sin shows up in the gap. That verse turns discernment into accountability. If God highlights someone's intentions, wisdom becomes the move. If God warns you about an environment, boundaries become obedience. If God exposes a spiritual attack, prayer becomes resistance. Discernment without action turns into spiritual anxiety. Discernment with obedience turns into protection. A lot of people assume something went wrong when relationships shift or conversations start feeling dry. Another possibility exists. Growth changes what you can tolerate. Jesus modeled intentional separation. Luke 5:16 shows him pulling away to pray. That rhythm of retreat and return kept him grounded, especially with crowds constantly grabbing at him. So if you feel pulled back from the usual noise, consider the possibility that God is protecting your discernment. Discernment doesn't mean you trust every intuitive feeling and call it prophecy. Here are a few practices that help keep spiritual sight healthy. Pray first, then talk. Prayer filters panic. Ask God for wisdom, not just information. Clarity matters. Check your heart for fear, pride, or irritation. Bring it to Scripture and wise counsel. Discernment grows best in community with people who stay grounded. Set boundaries early. Small boundaries beat big blow-ups. Rest your nervous system. Sleep and silence help you hear God clearly. And yes, sometimes discernment means you leave the room. No speech, no grand exit. Just a calm, I'm good, and a quiet walk to your car. If God keeps letting you see what other people miss, He's probably protecting you from something you don't need to touch. That kind of sight changes how you move through the world. It changes what you laugh at, what you tolerate, and what you call fine. So what has He been highlighting lately? Because once you see it, you live differently. And honestly, that's the whole point.